land, a wealthy people. It was hidden from us.
Definitely.
So when you've been beaten down every day, you all were slaves. Slavery. We came off. I didn't come off a boat. I don't hold that mentality.
Right.
But when that's been beaten in you, in school, out of school, in colleges, in every book that you read, you become what people say you are.
Definitely.
So now was the time to do our research and to get back to those roots.
Become proud again.
Yeah.
Sorry, go ahead.
Go ahead.
Bringing it back to, like I said, I do a slight tour around Cleveland. I look at, was it Little Italy? Mm-hmm. They have their flags all over the community. Mm-hmm. They don't let any outsiders take over that area. All the businesses are owned by Italian. Mm-hmm. The homes are owned by Italian. They have it all together, right?
And if too many of us come around, they shutting it down.
Exactly. So I'm thinking like the hoods that we claim, the streets that we, rep, and we put on T-shirts and hats and all that good stuff. Why is it that we can't put up the Pan-African flag or the Ethiopian flag or wherever we come from, just all of it, and do the same thing? Come together. Don't let any outsiders in, but allow ourselves to collectively own everything that we rep.
A lot of it, though, could be coming from the fact that we like things to be done quickly. So a frustration for me is within our community is that, one, we don't think things all the way through. We just kind of take what is the immediate quick fix. Mm-hmm. We go through fast food restaurants instead of going to the market, mm-hmm. getting food, preparing mm-hmm. it at home, eating at the table with the family. All of that takes time, and it also builds character. It allows for communication to be real as opposed to what we experience with technology, where we're all on our phones and whatnot. Mm-hmm. But even with that, there's a lot of benefit from the technology, which Definitely. Speaks back to your frustration, Cam, with people not accepting the higher level of thinking or higher level of being. When you call them a king or a queen, they don't know what it really means. And some people are very quick to accept the title, but still don't know what a king or a queen is because they don't know what a kingdom is. We live in a democracy and nothing about this like a kingdom.
Or they automatically think material. They think money when you say king or queen, wealth.
Mm-hmm.
Or they think power in a way that is not real because 100%. They want to usurp the power but don't want to earn the power or earn the respect that goes with the title.
Yeah.
So that part really is the part that irritates me, as far as we just don't know, or we're not thinking, we're not researching, define what that means. And maybe it's incumbent upon us who are willing to extend those words or those titles to give them an understanding of what it really means. When I say this to you, I'm not only going to say the title, but I'm going to give you a little bit of what that means and what I see in you. Definitely. By way of also demonstrating it myself. I'm going to behave a certain way.
Listening to you talk, what was the movie that the basketball movie?
Coach Carter?
Love and
Basketball?
No. It was Coach Carter.
Coach Carter.
Remember when he kept asking the guy, what is your deepest fear? Was it Coach Carter?
It might have been. I don't know.
What was the guy's name? He plays in the Marvel movies, the black guy. I see his face, but I cannot say his name. Samuel L. Jackson. He was the coach. Was it Coach Carter?
That's Coach Carter.
Okay. There was a part in the movie, throughout the movie, he kept asking the guy, what is your deepest fear?
The one that was in the gang?
Right. Uh-huh. What is your deepest fear? That is my favorite poem by Mariam Williamson, My Deepest Fear. And he kept asking him, and he kept asking, and he kept asking, and he kept asking, and he said, Coach, why you keep asking me one of the guys, why you keep asking him that? But he kept asking, and he kept asking, and it sparked him to find out what it was, and then to is it introspect or reflect on what he was actually feeling. You know what I'm saying? Right. What was his deepest fear? So I think if you keep calling guys kings and calling our females queens, and you keep calling them kings and queens and kings and queens, it'll spark to say, why do they keep calling me that? Eventually it'll seep in. Just like if you keep calling somebody stupid, they're going to believe after a while that they're stupid.
Definitely.
So if we keep conditioning them to realize that they are really kings and queens, it'll catch on sooner or later.
Now, Tangi Hunter brings up a question via Spreaker. How do you feel? How do we all feel about kings and queens selling their own into slavery?
That's a good point. Because slavery, if you go back in history, I don't know, people, if you study civilization, yes, Africans did sell one another into slavery. But at that point in time, it wasn't deemed slavery. It was a laborer, right? So you had a hierarchy or a class. So of course, if you didn't have that hierarchy, you were a laborer. So you did get sold into what we now call slavery. I don't necessarily think then, at that point, before we were into the transatlantic slave trade, I don't think at that point it was so bad. They were still treated with decency and respect.
Good point.
But it wasn't until we were colonized that it became the brutal slavery that we know now.
Right.
But maybe Tangi is also speaking of
Modern
those
time.
who are asleep today.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
I can see that.
Being played by those who look just like them into systems and plans, plots, schemes that are really advantages for only one or the few who are taking advantage of those who just don't know.
Right.
That they don't even know.
I think for those that are asleep, basically you just need to wake up. And those that are playing on the
Is
ones
that
that are
fair?
asleep, no. And those that are playing on the ones that are asleep, people only do that out of fear.
You think so?
I think it's fear.
Fear of potential.
Fear of potential.
Of those who are asleep?
Yes.
Okay.
Or collectively.
That's my
Yeah.
thought.
Then those
that's
aren't
my
real
thought
kings
process.
and queens. Those are definitely not real kings and queens.
Who's not real kings and
A
queens?
real king and a real queen would not be afraid of the truth or the good that's in another person.
Well,
Because you
we're
can't
talking
take
about-
away my kingdom,
Well, we're still talking about people who don't know who they are.
which is the responsibility, or at least I believe it's the responsibility of those who do know, even whatever little you know, to wake up another, to do all you can to help another wake up,
Yeah.
which is kind of what we were talking about with the young man that killed Nipsey Hussle, right? He doesn't even know. If he did that, he doesn't know who he is. He doesn't know who he killed. He can't.
Yeah.
But
So until you can help wake up another person, you're subject to have that kind of ultimate end, because nobody woke this man up to say, dude, you are a king.
Yeah.
This is not how we play the game. A king is trying to show you how to really win
Yeah.
in this life.
And maybe that's what, like you were saying, like with the fear, if you do make the attempt to wake somebody up, does that fear become, are they going to take me out because I'm trying to wake the masses?
Right.
So wisdom is what you need. And that's where a king
I
and
feel like
queen,
it's easier
again,
said than done.
It is.
Because with these,
It is
the
easier
way
said
people
than
are
done.
thinking now,
You're
it's
right.
so tough to speak up and be righteous and be enlightened and not sound like you're putting everybody down, because you're not putting them down. You're just exposing the ignorance that is already there,
but they don't know.
Yeah.
And that's where a true king and a true queen is going to have some wisdom. It's got to be there.
And I think that was the beauty about Nipsey's life, that he wasn't afraid to tell people the cards he was dealt with.
Definitely.
He acknowledged it at every point, every turn in his life. Man, I was just like you. I came from the street. I left my home when I was 14.
And that's why the young guys respect him.
Yeah.
100%.
And I think what happens with a lot of African Americans who go outside of the community, we forget where we came from.
Or be so ashamed of it.
Or be ashamed of it.
Or that's where the fear comes back. They're afraid if they go back, what they got is going to be taken. Even and or including their lives.
Yeah,
So you
you're right.
want to get out of that environment because you never really learned how to be a king in your own space, which is why you don't know who you are.
Yeah.
If you know, you can be able to walk in and out of those spaces without no problems. Nipsey did that.
Yeah, but we have a lot of people who are not on that level, and there's always a flip side to every coin. It's like I'm a millionaire. I come from Cleveland. I want to go back into my community and invest in my community. I want to go back. I want to be front and center. A lot of people aren't going to do that. A lot of people going to send some money. They're going to send some resources.
Like a third world country.
But I ain't going back
Yeah.
because, and I hate this word, but y'all niggas crazy.
Yeah, I got that a lot when I
No,
when I
and
moved
that's
back
how
to
they
Cleveland.
feel. Y'all niggas ain't killing me.
Yeah, but
y'all niggas ain't gonna steal from me.
That's perpetuating the problem. We already know that this is what people may feel. We are here to provide and create solutions.
But we cannot negate the fact that that is the general thought of society.
That's what Nipsey dealt with. He had to find a way to get beyond that. That's raging against the machine. It's been around for so long. I mean, even with the way things were back in Africa, Cam, you bring up excellent point in the history of how things were then. Now the game has changed in terms of there are a lot of people who believe and know that they're kings and queens, but they're operating from a different perspective, a different motivation. Their agenda is self-driven. It is not about community, much less, I mean, their own families, they'll play each other
Yeah,
if they can come up.
100%, yeah.
So it's now looking at how do we provide a solution from within the community, whether we're still in that one place or whether we're outside of it. How do we bridge the gap? Because we can talk about how Little Italy is doing it. We can talk about how Jews are doing it up on Taylor and then Beechwood. We can look at all that. The Chinese own all of the hood.
I think
oh,
if we
man.
take we all have, what were we gonna say?
That he brought up Chinese or Korean. So quick story. I can't stand going to the beauty supply stores in our neighborhood because it's all Korean. I hate the way they surveillance us and all that. But I had to go in there one day to get a wrap to go to the gym, right? So I go in there, and I've been to South Korea, so I learned a couple words, you know, how to say hi, how you doing, whatever. So I go in there, and I real quick, annyeonghaseyo, which is hello in Korean. And the lady looks at
One
me
more
like,
time.
annyeonghaseyo.
안녕하세요. 안녕하세요.
It's kind of like a song. Yeah, you kind of sing it, right? So I go in there and I say it to her. She looks at me like, who are you? So at that point, she doesn't follow me around. I get what I need. I come up to the register and she's having a conversation with me about how I knew Korean and how my experience there, whatever. So I asked her, I said, can I ask you a personal question? She said, yeah, sure. So I say, I noticed you own this beauty supply store, and I think you own another one, like not too far down. She said, yeah. I said, well, how do you keep these going? And she's like, well, my cousins have that one now. We have this one. And then once we get to a certain profit, we send that money to our family in South Korea. They do the same thing. So her amount was $10,000. Once they hit $10,000, that family moves on somewhere else. The next one comes in, makes the same amount. Boom, boom, boom. And they keep the money circulating.
Right.
Plain and simple.
Now, you just brought a solution to the community. We could identify the problem all day. Why do they all own all the hair and beauty salons and all of the hood? But now you just brought
Come on,
real
Cleveland. We giving y'all
power
knowledge right
to
now.
the game.
Yeah.
We
Yeah.
giving
Right?
y'all knowledge.
But
That's a
here's
solution.
the thing. We have the solution now.
We have a solution.
You put a solution on the table.
Execution.
Absolutely. Who's going to pick up the baton? Who's going to influence their realm
So
to do this? To
that's the
execute
part
it?
that I feel like I struggle with personally, because I think about these and I have conversations with people all the time. The Arabic gentleman that owns the gas station next to my house had the same conversation. There is one black owned beauty supply stores in Shaker, but they're rarely open just because of the
Economics.
distribution. Yeah, they don't get as
Right,
much.
because the Chinese and Koreans
Exactly.
got a lock on it.
I can't think of the name right now, but I'll get that for you. Is it Tangi Hunter? Okay, I'll
Tangi
get that
Hunter.
for you. But there is one. I talked to the Arabic gentleman at the gas station, and they have about the same criteria, certain level of money.
Blueprint.
I think our thing is, one, it's systematically put together to make it